last night was, well, I'm going to spend, let's spend the day talking about this, okay? Or the next couple of hours here. How can somebody win a debate when they tell 27 lies in 38 minutes? How can they do that? How could anybody in the media say that that's a win? Now, I'd be the first to say that, in my opinion, the president should have said, hey, wait a minute. You know, when the president first said, you've got a $5 trillion tax cut, and Mitt Romney says, no, I don't have a $5 trillion tax cut. And the president should have said, then how much is your tax cut? And Romney would have said, well, it's revenue neutral, don't you know? And, well, no. What percentage do you want to cut? Well, haven't you said you want to cut 20%? But except that would have required the president to interrupt Romney. Romney would not talk, he was playing bully on that. And I think right out of the gate, or not right out of the gate, but very early on in the debate, Romney said something that, frankly, I think shocked the president. Now, keep in mind, Romney's zingers, we've heard that they've been planning these zingers for weeks, right? Working on them. I mean, there was nothing that Romney said last night that some group of people had not spent hours on. Hours. On every phrase, or every significant phrase. So, I got a kind of a flashback to one of my old favorite TV shows. Remember this? Oh, yeah! Fred McMurray and Robbie, what's his name? And Bobby, but it was My Three Boys, right? It wasn't? It wasn't My Three Boys?
Look, I got 5 boys. I'm used to people saying something that's not always true, but just keep on repeating it and ultimately hoping I'll believe it.
Just like that boy on the other side of the stage for me. You get it? I mean, I'm sitting there looking at the TV and I'm thinking, I don't think that any of Mitt Romney's kids are even teenagers. I mean, his youngest kid has got to be in his 20s. I don't refer to my son Justin as my boy. He's my son. I mean, maybe when he was 6, he was my boy. But so you've got a group of people who are focus grouping. And they've just spent, an entire news cycle trying to get this Obama's talking black video out there into the news. Fox News and Sean Hannity and all these guys just hysterically bloviating about it. How do we take another step on this and just whistle out to accomplish 3 things at once? Number 1, whistle out to the white racists. Hey, have you noticed the guy across the stage from me? He's a boy. Number 1. Number 2, shock your debate opponent. Did he just call me a boy? And, should I respond to that? And, I mean, my mind would be spinning. And I debate people for a living. And number 3, claim that the President of the United States, the man he's debating, is a serial liar. The TV show was My Three Sons, not My Three Boys. And I doubt, maybe in some parts of radio land, particularly in urban radio, there's going to be a lot of discussion about this. I somehow suspect that there's not going to be any mention whatsoever of this in the largely white, so-called corporate mainstream media. And in fact, many of those people, if they listened to the rant that I just shared with you over the last minute or two, would say, oh, come on, you're paranoid. And in fact, that was my first thought about myself. Romney just called the president a boy, implicitly, and a liar. Oh, boys will be boys. They just lie, Could he have understood what that meant? What that would mean to an African-American person? And then I immediately thought, as I'm watching the show, you kind of have these internal conversations as I'm watching the show. No, Romney. I mean, he must have just misspoke. And then I got it. No, there's no misspeaking here. This guy has planned everything he said. And it's not just he who planned it. It's, Frank Luntz and the focus groups and the strategists and the people who helped put together the whole Hannity thing. I mean, it's been very carefully considered. So, what was that music again, Shano? Here we are. My old favorite TV show when I was maybe, 10 years old. Yes. My Three Boys. No. My Three Sons. Again, I just... Please tell me I'm paranoid here. And that I'm reading a lot into something that just doesn't exist. To think that Mitt Romney would use the word boy when referring to the first African-American president of the United States, in addition to arguing that he's a liar. And that line wasn't something that was carefully scripted by a group of a half a dozen people sitting in a room for hours as the perfect follow-up to 2 days of hysterical bloviation about, hey, have you seen the video of the president talking like a black guy? Which was, basically Sean Hannity's thing. So once again, as I said, my son is in his 30s, I think. Late 20s, early 30s. And I'd have to go back and do the math. And I don't refer to him as my boy. He's my son. Romney's youngest son is 34 years old. Well, he's older than my son. And Romney is saying this.
Look, I got 5 boys. I'm used to people saying something that's not always true, but just keep on repeating it and ultimately hoping I'll believe it.
Yeah, just like that boy on the other side of the stage from me. Okay, I've pounded on that one enough. I look forward to your thoughts on this, and I'm just going to open up the lines so that, like we did yesterday. We took a lot of calls on what questions would you like to hear asked. Obviously, 99.999% of your questions never got asked because Jim Lehrer was, bumps on logs. I don't know. Come up with a cliche. Romney played his bully routine. When he was in high school and that young man who was probably gay and he pinned him down and cut his hair off. I mean, Romney has like this life history of being a bully, whether it's to other people or whether it's to dogs. And he just slapped down Jim Lehrer, threatened to fire him. And it was just quite the remarkable performance. I think the most important carry home from this, though, is 27 lies in 38 minutes. Mitt Romney spoke for a total of 38 minutes. And the Center for American Progress has compiled this over at their Think Progress blog. If you want to look through it, as we go through the day, we will cover these. CNN said, mostly fiction. Well, this is over from Democratic Underground. They got a great graphic up. Romney told 27 myths in 38 minutes. Think Progress. David Gergen. Romney was just sort of flat out lying. I caught that on CNN. I'm like, whoa. Huffington Post. Romney walked back multiple positions, denied his own tax plan. Right. How do you win anything that involves ethics if you do it by lying?
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
So in that context, I'd have to say last night Mitt Romney lost big time, or the American people did. And I got to tell you about my take on Ronald Reagan right after this.